Welcome to KiniNews. I'm your host, Camelia. An inmate who knew Nagaenthran Dharmalingam, who is also on death row, has opened up through a poem, giving us a rare insight into the lives of those awaiting execution.
Just hours before the execution of Nagaenthran Dharmalingam in Singapore on April 27, a poem was written by his fellow inmate and Malaysian, Pannir Selvam Pranthaman. The poem, entitled Death Row Literature, is dedicated to Nagaenthran and was sent to Malaysia Kini by Pannir's sister. She said that her brother was unable to eat or sleep thinking of Nagaenthran's imminent execution. Her brother had also told her how all the inmates were very disturbed after the execution, as it was carried out on the same floor as their cells and was audible. They could hear the opening of the trapdoor to the tightening of the noose to cause the strangulation. Moreover, sharing her brother's observations, she said that Nagaenthran was someone who hardly spoke, as if he had forgotten how to speak, unlike most of the other inmates. By the time there were calls for clemency on Nagaenthran's case, he had already spent more than a decade of his life in solitary confinement, only to be then executed on April 27 for trafficking 44 grams of heroin into Singapore.
Nurul Izzah has experienced the ups and downs of politics. However, her observation about Harapan's future may have been a pill too bitter to swallow for some, and she has apologized.
Permatang Pauh MP Nurul Izzah Anwar has apologized for saying Pakatan Harapan should expect to lose another 2 general elections before having a chance at winning. The former PKR vice president said she was merely exploring the worst-case scenario. Speaking to Sinar Harian, he said Harapan stands a good chance of returning to Putrajaya if the fence-sitters go out to vote in GE15. However, if they do not, she said that would be the worst-case scenario for Harapan. She apologized if what she said had hurt anyone, but she pointed out that Harapan must always be prepared for any eventuality. Nurul also said despite highlighting the worst-case scenario, it does not mean that she is giving up. Nurul was criticized after saying Harapan would lose in the next 2 general elections in an interview with Sinar Harian last month. In the interview, she said it would take time to craft a new product for the public, especially those who are unhappy with Harapan's short stint in Putrajaya.
What will PKR's future look like after Anwar? 2 leaders are fighting for that position, and to get to know them better, you'll get to witness them debate next week.
PKR leaders Saifuddin Nasution Ismail and Rafizi Ramli will face each other for the first time in a debate on May 11th. Both leaders are running for the PKR deputy presidency in the upcoming party poll. The 90-minute program, dubbed Berani Semuka Siapa Layak Bersama Anwar, will be aired live on all Senior Haran platforms at 3 p.m. This is according to Senior Haran Group Editor-in-Chief Rozaid Rahman. Rozaid said the debate is timely as the PKR election this year will be an indication of who will eventually take over from Anwar Ibrahim. Anwar had retained the presidency for the current term uncontested. Rozaid said the debate would test the credibility of both candidates on current issues. The debate will begin with an introductory session followed by questions from each other and from the moderator.
A group of former Malaysian bar presidents is pushing for another walk for justice amid allegations of judicial intimidation.
Immediate and decisive action by lawyers is needed in the face of attacks on the judiciary, according to former Malaysian bar president Ambiga Srinevasan. She said this in explaining a petition started by her and 5 other former bar presidents, calling on the Bar Council to mobilize a walk for justice. A similar walk was done in 2007 when allegations of judicial fixing emerged. Speaking to Malaysia Kini, she said there are moments in time that require an immediate and decisive response from the lawyers. Ambiga, speaking in her personal capacity, said efforts are being made by certain quarters to undermine the judiciary. She added that lawyers cannot remain silent while certain quarters use innuendo and accusations that are not credible to undermine the judiciary. Last week, Chief Justice Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat said criticisms of the judiciary had gone overboard. This was amid the MACC investigating Court of Appeal Judge Muhammad Nazla Muhammad Ghazali after a politically linked blog posted an allegation claiming he had unexplained wealth.
What makes a party hopper? Should the government define it, or should it be left to the voters? MCA has made its position clear.
Defected lawmakers should be dealt with by the voters via a recall election instead of the political parties. This is according to MCA Secretary General Chong Sin Woon. His statement came at a time when the government has been struggling to fine-tune the definition of party hopping. Chong raised concerns about the overly broad definition of party hopping, where a lawmaker who leaves the party will be considered to have defected regardless of form or reason. He said, in other words, any lawmaker involuntarily expelled from the party will be defined as party hopping, and an election will be held. In this case, he said the anti-hopping law may be used to pave the way for a recall election when a party leader expels any lawmaker he or she dislikes. He added that this is undoubtedly a disguised way of granting more power to party leaders, resulting in lawmakers being controlled by their leaders.
Nazri, who is happy with Ismail Sabri's performance as Prime Minister, says there's no need for snap elections now.
Veteran BN lawmaker Nazri Abdul Aziz believes the government is stable now and should not be disturbed by calls for a general election soon. The Padang Rengas MP told Astro Awani that if UMNO tries to dissolve parliament now, the public will punish the party for creating instability. He said the party should heed the Yang di-Pertuan Agong's call for a stable government. Nazri added that Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob is running the country well. Ismail Sabri, who has held the job for only 9 months, is under pressure from his own party to hold early elections. UMNO's Supreme Council had on April 11th named him as the party's candidate for Prime Minister. UMNO is also attempting to delay the party's leadership election from being held at the end of this year to a date 6 months after the general elections are held. This is widely seen as an attempt to prevent UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi from being challenged as the party leader.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.